I am with another cast member from the AnTea party.
Yeah, I chuckle because the character that I embodied during the course of the 3 phases of the tea party, she was quite something. She traded in her her authority for the first phase. Like, she traded in her authority, her medicine, her potency for this illusion of the mythic norm. So status quo, white, patriarchal defined society. And so her buy-in, or her kind of trade-in for that, maybe like disillusioned promise of success or status, just squeezed out her soul living. And so enter the garden with the kind of pomp and circumstance of like even squeezed into the dress, like everything's like in a place.
So would you say there's any of that? I know you said we can all have these archetypes, but like, does any of that play a part in you as Reya?
No.
Okay. So you were really playing a character.
I mean, that's not true. I can say that on the outside yet. Like that archetype has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm totally trying her on. That's not how I roll. It's not.
I haven't seen you.
I
haven't seen you like that.
But I would say that I am actively decolonizing my mind, and that trade-in is colonization. You know, and I'm always investigating what corners and pockets I'm still trained into that way of being. It comes out in my perfectionism and like, I mean, timeliness is great, but like there's whatever constraints that I put on myself around time or image or all the things that, you know, just pulling those out, teasing those out.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
Yes and no. Perfect. And was there a shift when the party shifted?
Yeah, it was a big shift. And I think it was like, so the artistry of the tea party was just amazing. Your vision and like how it played out in real time, you know, accentuated your vision so much. And I just see that, so like moving from this wedge of defined, narrow, white supremacist patriarchal society, and then just operating as though nothing else is possible, and that's the best it gets. And then like that first sip that you take and the image that it's so perfect, it's like, oh my God, there's something different here. There's something different here. And that how all of a sudden the color of the frosting or what we're sipping is lighting that up along the table, like in concentric ways. And I just felt like all of a sudden the divine feminine within me just bloomed, right? So that sensuality and sexuality and my medicine and my genius and artistry and all of those things, and it was just like, and then allowed that character to come into something different, you know. And she got messy. She like had frosting on the lenses of her glasses, and her hair was all cattywampus. Her outfit was all colored. It's like that frosting was the portal, and sometimes it just takes one for us. I think it's really like that opening to a vast reality. It's not like here's narrow defined reality and here's artistic reality or feminine masculine balance reality. It's like here's the wedge and there's the rest of the circle, which is huge, and so much is missing from it. So much is missing from the wedge. The beautiful thing about the portal to the opening was like the connections that started happening between people, and how that the illusion of betterment from I want to say mystic norm, but the mythic norm is like, when that starts to break down, we realize all the things we've been losing. One of the main things is connection and community with each other. And I truly believe that when things become connected, they become brilliant. I mean, that's my work. And the mythic norm is what we've been trained to reach for or worship, and that's male, white, thin, able-bodied, wealthy, probably, this norm. And so much of our training is based on holding that. And that's a squeeze for all of us who don't fit into that, to live in a reality that it was designed around that norm. And the farther away we are from that norm, whether in color of skin or gender or sexual orientation or body size, the more we get squeezed and the more wounding happens. And so what we were talking about being the mystic norm is like the new us. It's the frosting covered people who are connecting through our creativity and our genius and getting each other and ourselves outside that wedge, living the full reality, not being squeezed in the boxes. So when that started happening in the tea party, and it was just like, noticing somebody's next to you and you can actually touch them and like rub frosting on them, and that the more touch, the more open, the more colors, the more beauty, and the more power to being connected to our true selves, our like expressive, round, whole, amazing, connected beings,
How did it feel to have Mina and Makita, but in different places, and knowing they were there for you?
It felt like it was part of the magic, for sure. And I felt our larger family, that sense too. But one of my favorite like family portraits is but like Mina's up on the table and she's backwards and Makita's reaching over her back and like I'm doing something weird in the back. It's like the three of us in the frame and it's perfect. Well, and the magic of the goddess and the water was so apparent in the film too, because it was like the first water was you pouring the tea out into Mina's cup, and then that's when the magic and synchronicity dropped, right? Like the first view of water and like what that does for our senses and our sensibility. And then after that, the rain started trickling, and the rain was present through the whole experience. And then when we got really messy, the rain just poured down, and like cleanse us of all that constraint and tension. I practice a body-centric, earth-based medicine, and my main technology is needles. And so my medicine is to offer what's the body's asking for in the moment, to release tension, to release the wounding of being so tightly wound from the way that we feel like we need to be living, or just a narrow reality like I was talking about in the beginning, of living according to the rules and agreements that only a few have chosen. And so like the frosting, and we're getting frosting all over us, and recognizing that there's so much more, and I just love offering a medicine that's so much more. So I feel like when I treat people, one, it's a living prayer, and the other thing is like I feel like people come in with their fear and their pain, and then they take a sip and they have that, that's what I love about what I do, is they take a sip and they recognize a portal to something different. They recognize that their healing doesn't need to be surrounded in fear. That there's so many more options, that they have everything that they need within them. What I hope to happen is more conversations around whiteness and the trade-off, the trade-in, and where we're going from there. what's possible with the frosting.
Yeah.